I want you to know that the mantra of the Summer Youth Festival was started by Richard Sterner, who was our founder and director. And it was that everyone is a star. And what he meant by that was that everyone's job, on stage, behind the scenes, no matter what your job was, no matter how big or how small, that the Summer Youth Festival helped to bring that piece of you that was special to the forefront, and that none of this would have happened without everybody working together as a team. So when I asked people, or when Richard used to say, who's the star of the show? And all the cast members would raise their hand. And tonight, it's a very special evening for all of us, as you know, but it's especially special because we have a real star with us this evening. And that's Mr. Bill Nabel, who started with our group, was mentored by Dick Sterner, and has been on Broadway for how many years?
30, probably.
30 years, and is also a playwright. And I'd like Bill to come up and just say a few words to you.
Yay!
Sorry about that. I'm sort of throwing him into the deep end of the pool, but.
Yeah, I just came from. I just came from my favorite place, rehearsal, and I apologize for my dress and my lateness and all that stuff. But Karen called me and said that they were doing this commemoration for the youth festival, which is where I started, and for Dick Sterner in particular, who was not only a mentor to me, but perhaps kind of a father, which is not a bad way to think of mentors. I have to say, I haven't been to East Hartford in a long time, and I drove up here and I kind of took the long way, and I drove past my old house, and the house that my father built, the Jewish Holocaust survivor, built for his business and my mother's business on Talon Street, is now the Islamic Institute.
Oh.
I'm not sure they know that a Jewish man's built that house. I'm not sure what they would do if they knew a Jewish man built that house. But I found that kind of interesting. It was reassuring to see that Mary Street is still a one-way street coming down the hill. It was also interesting to drive past my old friend Nikki Lada's house, and kind of wondered if those people that are living there now know that Nikki's father in the 70s built a fallout shelter in there, and I was in it. And Woodland School is pretty much the same except for the solar panels on the roof. And you know, life goes on and things change and things don't change, but things stay with you. And Dick Sterner has always been a part of me and my profession. I have to tell you a story. I did the original readings of Beauty and the Beast on Broadway before it opened, and we did probably 3 readings for Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg in New York City before the show opened, because Disney wasn't sure at that point whether Disney had never produced a Broadway musical at that time, and they weren't sure they wanted to do it. And so they decided to go slow, and they did some readings. They called some actors. They called me in to do a reading. And a reading is you sit around with a piano, you hire 10, 15 actors, and you read the script, sing the songs, and you know, you do it just to hear it, to get it on feet, just to hear what you have. And so I did the original readings, and I had 2 kids in college at the same time, and I ended up doing the entire Broadway run of Beauty and the Beast. Dick Sterner was in that show. One of the parts that I covered in Beauty and the Beast was Maurice, who plays the father. I also covered Lumiere and Cogsworth and Monsieur Dark, so I was on for some principal, maybe 25% of the time. And I would walk into the theater, sign my name, and find out at half hour who I was on for that night. Which was it, and sometimes I went on an intermission. I recall we lost the Lumiere at intermission, and I had to go on intermission for it. But when we were rehearsing, when we started rehearsing for Maurice, there's a part in Maurice where Maurice tries out in his old invention, and of course the invention breaks down, and he hops out of the invention, and he does an acting motion that immediately said to me, "This is Dick Sterner." And I hearkened back in the recesses of my mind and remembered that we were rehearsing, I think it was Camelot, and we were out at East Hartford High School in the lobby, and we were goofing around, as we were wont to do in those days. And Dick was trying his best to stage this number as he was wont to do in those days. And the two wands collided, and Dick lost his temper, and he was furious. And you guys are screwing around, and he hauled off, and he kicked the wall as hard as he could. And he broke his toe. And I remember, the image is still there. He was, hobbling around, and he wouldn't go to we didn't know at that time he broke it. We found out a week later after he was limping around on his foot for a week. But when they said to me, okay, Maurice just got out of his invention, and he's furious, and he kicks the invention, I said, that's Sterner. And we put it in. We put it in the show. And to me, that was Dick Sterner. And, in a small way, a piece of staging to me, suggested what he meant to me in my life. And of course, it was much more than just a small piece of staging. And, this is what the youth festival is about, what all youth festivals are about. When we go to do these shows. Having a written show now and been produced, I now come at things, from a different direction. And for me, it's now a profession. It's a life. It's a livelihood. It's the hardest business there is, bar none. And I know businesses have a hard time, but it's you do what you love, and that I've been doing some teaching and encountering parents that have come up to me and say, my son or my daughter really loves musicals and that's what they want to do. And I'm conflicted sometimes. It's not something that my kids went into. Not that I encourage them or discourage them about it, but it's like anything you do in life. You look deep into your soul and you say, "This is what I want." And I was fortunate enough to do not only Beauty and the Beast for 13 years, but 42nd Street for 8 years, the original with Howard Champion and David Merrick, and 6 other Broadway shows. Besides, if you can contrast a 13-year run with Beauty and the Beast, the shortest run that I did was a show called Home Sweet Homer with Yul Brynner and Joan Diener, written by the La Mancha guys, Mitch Lee, who just died last week, and Albie Marr, and that show opened and closed the same night. So that's the bit, that's my experience in show business. I wouldn't be where I am today without Dick Sterner and without the support of all the people that did the shows. You do them every summer, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a summer program? Yeah. And, who knows what happens with that? At least they stay out of trouble. Well, I don't always stay out of trouble either. But at least they get in trouble in a good place. And musicals are a good thing. It's a positive, good thing for young people to be involved in, to get into, and it's my life. And I'm grateful to East Hartford. I'm grateful to the youth program. I'm grateful to Dick Sterner. And
So that's why They wouldn't let me do a number out of your stuff. I know. I asked.
On the day I was born, said my father, said he, I've an elegant legacy waiting for ye. 'Tis a rhyme for your lip and a song for your heart, to sing it whenever the world falls apart. Look, look, look to the rainbow, follow it over the hill and stream. Look to the rainbow, follow the fellow who follows a dream. When I was very young, 50 years seemed like, well, forever. And now that I've lived those 50 years, and a few more after that, they seem to have been only several yesterdays ago. The story we tell this evening about the East Hartford Summer Youth Festival begins and will eternally be influenced by two very special fellows who followed one very special dream. Our visionary founders, Don Hallquist and Dick Sterner. Don and Dick had met earlier in the 60s when both worked as essentially the entire music program at East Hartford High School. Don was the veteran, the guy, the local guy, the guy raising his family and serving his church and community with his musical gifts. Dick was the newcomer from Battle Creek, Michigan, the home of Kellogg's and Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and the annual Cereal City Festival. Don and Dick could not have been any more different in their appearance and demeanor. Don, the crisply dressed and meticulously organized ambassador of music, who always remembered everyone's name and who could tell wickedly delicious jokes, but never in mixed company. Dick, with his shirt tails flying, the powdered sugar from a recent jelly donut billowing from his tie, always desperately seeking sheet music under piles and piles and piles of paper on his desk. Those of you who did not know Dick very well would be surprised to know that he was actually quite shy. Don, however, was not shy. No matter their differences, and perhaps even because of them, Dick and Don instantly became creative professional partners, and equally as important, fast and loyal friends. In the spring of 1964, Dick and Don produced and presented the first musical ever to grace the stage at East Hartford High School, Brigadoon. Dick would later say that all the credit for the idea to put on a full-scale musical was Don's. Don would say the same about Dick. But those of us who were on stage or backstage during Brigadoon knew the truth. Brigadoon and the legacy that would follow would never have been possible without the both of them working hard side by side. The buzz from Brigadoon that year was electric, not only within the high school, but throughout the East Hartford community. That same year, Dick and Don one-upped, or should I say two-upped themselves with an even bigger dream. How about a summer musical program for preteens, teens, and young adults? Simply unheard of, said some. Impossible, said others. All we need is the money, said Dick and Don. The two fellas decided that the one with the clean tie and whose shirt tails were neatly tucked in would be the fellow who would approach community groups for financial support. You can guess whose job that was. Don's and Dick's selfless and loving efforts to provide a valuable summer theater experience for East Hartford's young people was precedent-breaking. And thanks to the enthusiastic and generous support of the Fine Arts Commission, and through them others in the community, Finian's Rainbow had its opening night on August 5th, 1965. The rest, as they say, is history. Two fellows, one dream. This is why we tell the story.
We
By our best estimation, more than 4,000 young people have been a part of the East Hartford Summer Youth Festival experience, either on stage or backstage, over the past 50 years. It has always been our fondest hope that all would take away something special from their time with us, something that would stay with them for a very long time. Perhaps a bit of confidence, the satisfaction of a job well done, or a memorable chance to shine. We know that many made and kept new friends, and that some used the skills and talents they developed to embark on related career paths, either in the spotlight or behind the scenes. A very lucky few have found their soulmates and started a life together as a couple, and one scene stealer even became the chairman of the East Hartford Board of Education.
Why do they think of stories that link my name with yours?
Why do the neighbors gossip all day behind their doors?
I know a way to prove what they say is quite untrue. Here is the gist, a practical list of don'ts for you. Don't throw bouquets at me. Don't please my folks too much. Don't laugh at my jokes too much. People will say we're in love.
Those are your jokes. I don't know.
Don't sigh and gaze at me. Your sighs are so like mine. Your eyes mustn't go like mine. People will say we're in love. Don't start collecting things. Give me my rose and my glove. Sweetheart, they're suspecting things. People will say we're in love.
Some people say that you are to blame as much as I. Why do you take the trouble to bake my favorite pie? Grant your wish, I carved our initials in that tree. Just keep a slice of all the advice you give so free. Don't praise my charms too much. Don't look so vain with me. Don't stand in the rain with me. People will say we're in love. Don't take my arm too much.
Don't keep your hand in mine.
actually, I started with the Summer Youth Festival. I was 9 years old. I was back in 1989. And it actually started with a simple toe touch, just like this. Tap, tap, tap. I played Young George M. I was nervous as all. This is all I had to do. A year later, I was able to join the production of The Music Man. And many years later, when I was a little taller, a little more hair on my face, I was able to join the cast of Music Man once again, this time as Marcellus. And tonight, I'm going to perform Shapoopy from The Music Man. Now a woman who'll kiss on the very first date is usually a hussy. And a woman who'll kiss on the second time out is anything but fussy. But a woman who'll wait till the third time around, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, she's the one he's glad he's found. She's his Shapoopy, 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 Shapoopy.
The girl that's hard to get,
Shapoopy, Shapoopy, Shapoopy.
but you can win her yet.
Walk her once just to raise the curtain, then you walk around twice and you make her curtain. Once more to the flower garden, she will never get old if you beg her pardon. Squeeze her once when she isn't looking, if you get a squeeze back, that's fancy cooking. Once more for a pat for rubber, she will never get sore on her way to supper. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, si, do. Now little old Sal is a no-gal, as anyone can see. Look at her now, she's a go-gal who only goes for me. Squeeze her once when she isn't looking, if you get a squeeze back, that's fancy cooking. Once more for a pepper rubber, she will never get sore on her way to supper. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, si, do. Shapoopy, Shapoopy, Shapoopy.
The girl that's hard to get,
Shapoopy, Shapoopy, Shapoopy.
but you can win her yet.
You can't win her yet. Shapoopy!
Shows, the East Harvard Summer Youth Festival had become solidly established as the hottest ticket in town. One reason being that the high school auditorium was not yet air conditioned. Performers and musicians learned to speak, sing, or play their instruments over the whir of fans, and playbills served a second equally handy purpose. And yet parents and family members still plan their summer vacations around the show dates, and older teens revise their summer work schedules to be in the shows.
By this time, Don had moved on from his work at the high school to become the director of fine and performing arts and then the assistant superintendent of schools. Although he was no longer present in the orchestra pit, Don's support and advocacy for the summer youth program remained strong and lasting. The shows, like all good musicals, took audiences on journeys through time and to places they might not have previously known. Generational themes taught us that even more seasoned folks could reflect happily on days gone by, and that young people, no matter their place or time, could be filled with joy.
Why is it wrong to be young and foolish? We haven't long to be. Suddenly the every day, the sunlit days go by. Soon enough the bluebird has to fly. We were foolish. One day we fell in love. Now we wonder, what were we dreaming of? Tumbling in the sunlight, laughing in the rain. I wish that we were young and foolish again.
guys as a member of the Ehsyf Summer Youth Festival, and I'm so thrilled to be performing in front of people that I've known for the past 5 summers. I love you guys so much. I'm so glad to be performing. And to continue this miraculous night, here is Miracle of Miracles from Fiddler on the Roof. So, take it away, Jason. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, God took a Daniel once again, stood by his side, and a miracle of miracles walked him through the lion's den. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, I was afraid that God would frown, but like he did so long ago at Jericho, God just made a wall fall down. When Moses softened Pharaoh's heart, that was a miracle. When God made the waters of the Red Sea part, that was a miracle too. But of all God's miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all is that out of a worthless lump of clay, God has made a man today. Wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, God took the tailor by the hand, turned him around, and miracle of miracles led him to the promised land. When David slew Goliath, yes, that was a miracle. When God gave us manna in the wilderness, that was a miracle too. But of all God's miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all is the one I thought could never be. God has given you to me. Woo!
Decade of shows had its bookends, Grease and Bye Bye Birdie. Grease was the first truly modern show to be taken on by the Summer Youth Festival, even though its storyline is clearly rooted in the 50s, as is Bye Bye Birdie.
A brief footnote you might be interested in is the fact that Birdie and the Music Man, also presented during this third decade of shows, were Dick Sterner's favorite musicals to stage. As such, each of the 2 shows has been presented by us 3 times in the past 50 years, a distinction that no other show has matched.
The 1994 production of Bye Bye Birdie was filled to overflowing with as many teenagers as could fit on the stage, along with a delightful inclusion of some Summer Youth alums during the well-known song, Kids. Dick loved the times when he could sneak alums into his chorus numbers. Perhaps fittingly, Dick chose this particular production, his 30th, to announce his retirement from directing the Summer Youth shows, and me into a panic. And when he returned to see subsequent shows, he was the perfect audience member, first to clap, and the loudest, and the proudest.
During the past 50 years, there have only been 4 directors of our Summer Youth musical shows. We would be hard-pressed to find another summer musical program that can say the same. We're incredibly proud of this fact, and so very grateful for the path that Dick Sterner created for those who would come after him. The bookend shows, Grease and Bye Bye Birdie, perfectly reflected Dick's particular delight in seeing exuberant and charming young people playing, well, exuberant and charming young characters on stage. In fact, I want to call an exuberant and charming young character to the stage to help you with this. Well, hello, young man.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing very well after that number. That was wonderful.
And it was wonderful indeed. Take a look at the both of us. People confuse us all the time. I have a question for you, exuberant and charming young man. What do you think about having exuberant and charming young people playing exuberant and charming young roles on stage?
That's a very, very tough question. Can I think about this for a second?
Yeah, don't hurt yourself.
I won't. I try not to. I have an answer.
Go.
What bada bee bop, what bamboo?
We go together like together forever like disobedient, disrespectful oafs, noisy, crazy, sloppy, lazy loafers. Why these ungrateful kids? They are cost impossible to control. Kids with their awful clothes and their rock and roll. Why can't they be like we were, perfect in every way? What's the matter with kids today? Excuse Kids, I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. Kids, even I don't understand what they say. Kids, they are so ridiculous and so immature. I don't see what's up. Why these ungrateful kids? What the devil's wrong with these kids today? Kids, who knew best that they would turn out that way? Why can't they be like we were, perfect in every way? What's the matter with kids? What's the matter with kids? What's the matter with kids today?
Can you imagine staging either of those shows without brightly colored costumes? Or Hello Dolly without the grand Harmonia Gardens staircase? Or Footloose without its spirited choreography? Or the intimate solos and duets of Carousel and Plain and Fancy without a spotlight or sound?
Anytime we tell the story of the East Hartford Summer Youth Festival, we must always acknowledge that choreography, lighting, sound, set construction, and costuming are as integral to musical theater as acting, singing, and orchestrations. And then there's putting together the playbill and keeping track of invoices and budgets and notices and websites and publicity and on and on and on. So many fine people over the years giving countless hours of their time spent performing countless labors of love behind the scenes to make our shows great.
Too many to name, but too important to forget. We cannot thank enough, except to remind them that they are stars too.
Frank Jackson joined the Summer Youth Festival in 1995 as our director for the next decade of shows, plus one. Frank brought with him a heightened focus on the technical aspects of theater production and a keen eye for detail. However, I've always had a theory that Frank chose the decade of shows that he did to honor his dog, Annie. See if you stay with me. The decade began with Annie in 1995, along with at least 1,000 little girls desperate to try on the red curly wig. And the decade ended with Annie Get Your Gun in 2004. Do you see a pattern yet? Stick with me. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's not forget The King and I with Mrs. Anna Leonowens in 1996, and the coup de grace, Cole Porter's Anything Goes, Anything Goes in 1999. Aha! Well played, Mr. Jackson. And that's all true. I lied about the dog. All mystery aside, so many of the shows during that decade taught us to admire the strength, courage, and determination of heroes and heroines, such as the King of Siam, Anna, and Maria von Trapp.
We're going to perform our number for you. I was asked to tell you what the Summer Youth Festival means to me. And the best way that I could do that.
Your Majesty, I don't know how to make it clear to you. We don't look at women as just human females. They are... Well, take yourself, for example. You are not just a human male.
I am king.
Exactly. And all men are kings, and all women are females. Well, when they're in love.
This is a sickly idea.
Oh, it's a beautiful idea. We're brought up with it, of course. Young girls at their first dance.
Young girls? They dance too, like we've seen tonight in the arms of other men, not their husbands.
Why, yes.
I would not permit.
It's very exciting. Going to your first dance, sitting in a small gilt chair, eyes cast downward, wishing that you won't become a wallflower. Suddenly you see two black shoes, a waistcoat, a face, and it speaks. We've just been introduced, I do not know you well, but when the music started, something moved me to your side. So many men and girls are in each other's arms. It made me think we might be similarly occupied. Shall we dance on a bright cloud of music? Shall we fly? Shall we dance? Shall we then say goodnight and mean goodbye? Or perchance, when the last little star has left the sky, shall we still be together with our arms around each other? And shall you be my new romance? On the clear understanding that this kind of thing can happen, shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
Good. You showed me. You teach.
Oh, it's quite simple, really, the polka. It goes 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and shall we dance on a bright cloud of music? Shall we fly? Shall we dance? Shall we then say goodnight and mean goodbye?
Or perchance, when the last little star has left the sky,
Shall we still be together with our arms around each other? And shall you be my new romance? On the clear understanding that this kind of thing can happen, shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance? 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1,
What is
2.
wrong? I know. I forget act. This time I remember. 1, 2,
1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and splendid, Your Majesty!
Splendid 1, 2, and you have thrown your count.
1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2.
What is not right?
Oh, yes, please. You were doing wonderful.
No, it is not right.
Well, yes, it was just like they were doing.
No, we're not holding hands like this.
Oh, no. As a matter of fact,
Was like this. No.
yes.
Come.
Or perchance, when the last little star has left the sky, shall we still be together with our arms around each other? And shall you be my new romance? On the clear understanding that this kind of thing can happen, shall we dance? Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
Some of the most memorable moments of my life have happened because of and with the Summer Youth Festival. It's always surprising to me how small a part of life is made up of meaningful moments, and most of them are over almost before they've begun. But the people who originated them cast a light on the future. Dick Sterner and Don Hallquist have shined such a light on the future of East Hartford, and that light will continue to shine through all of their stars forever. when it trips and falls over stones on its way to sing through the night like a lark who is learning to play. I go to the hills when my heart is lonely. I know I will hear what I've heard before. My heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll sing once more.
Joe Connolly's return to the Summer Youth Festival family in 2006 as our third director was sky high because Joe had grown up with us. In many ways, Dick Sterner had been Joe's teacher and mentor, along with being his friend. Joe, himself a teacher, was deeply committed to making the summer theater experience instructive as well as downright fun. He knew instinctively the value of the silly as well as the serious. Although more times than not, I think the silly won out. It was so very important to Joe that youngsters new to the summer show were assigned a big brother or sister to welcome them and make them comfortable within the Summer Youth family. Joe would say throughout the rehearsal process and in anticipation of the opening night that he wanted the audience to see everyone's fingerprints on the show, that the production was a team effort through and through. Joe's gifts to his casts and production teammates were great big hugs, the utter joy in performance, and the lessons we all can learn from the characters we are playing. Joe's first show in 2006 was The Music Man, certainly a nod to our first director, and in retrospect, a reflection of our own feelings for Joe and what he would bring to us as a director, if only for a heartbreakingly short time. Joe's devastatingly sad loss in 2011 struck our summer youth program at its very core. How could we go on?
But how could we not go on? With the Summer Youth Board and the Summer Youth performers, past and present, strongly behind her, Valerie Nettleton came forward as our fourth and current director. In many ways, Valerie was very well prepared to put the pieces back together again. Joe had been Valerie's director when she was in middle school, and she was already a valued member of our Summer Youth family, not only as a talented performer, but also as a backstage coordinator. So with the technical skills learned from Frank and the many collaborative experience she shared with Joe, who of course had learned so much from Dick, Valerie stepped up, stepped in, and keeps on stepping forward. The last selection of songs from shows directed by Joe and Valerie during our fifth decade teach us the importance of loving and caring in our lives. To know if I loved you, words wouldn't come in an easy way, round in circles I'd go.
belong to other men. 'Cause each time I got close, they fall apart again.
Feared my heart would beat in secrecy.
I faced the nights alone. How could I have known that all my life I only needed you? Oh, almost
Paradise, we're knocking on heaven's door.
almost
Paradise,
How could we ask for more? I swear that I can see forever in your eyes. so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you, for I can't help falling in love with. I can't help. I can't help. I can't help. I can't help falling in. I can't help. I can't help. And her husband's in the directing program there.